Hey, what's up, everyone? You are watching or listening to the My Comic Book Journey podcast. I'm your host, KNDY. And for today's episode, we are going to be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 178. And this was released back on December 13th, 1977. Cover date is March 1978. Before we begin, I just want to say that sorry if I take pauses during the podcast. I just had surgery several hours ago and can't really do much, but I can, fortunately, just sitting down and having the camera pointed back out to you and talking is probably the best I can do right now, and at least it's being productive and not just, being in agonizing pain. Just trying to just make things work right now. So okay, so this issue right here of The Amazing Spider-Man, as you can see on the cover, Aunt May's dying. Only Peter Parker can save her, but where is he? And you could see the Green Goblin and Spider-Man fighting each other. So this issue was written by Len Wein. Len did a lot of the Spider-Mans back in the 1970s, especially late 70s. And penciler was Andru. Inker was Jim Mooney. Colorist was Glynis Wein. Letterer was Joe Rosen. And editor was Len Wein. So he was the editor and writer. And with this issue, it starts off with a mafia, the crime, leader of crime agencies getting together and wanting to make sure that the criminal component in the city is going strong. And all of a sudden, Green Goblin shows up and tries to explain to them that he can help them by taking care of Spider-Man. In fact, he could bring Spider-Man to them. And for many of these criminals, Spider-Man has been a major, I guess you could say, antagonist towards them, because he always tends to put them behind bars. And so they say, well, if you think you can do it, then prove it. Meanwhile, we have a major mafia member who feels that, that Green Goblin could possibly do it, but then it puts a wrench in their plans of trying to become a crime leader in the city. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is hiding in an air duct vent, watching and listening to them. And this is one thing that's interesting, is that while hiding, and after Green Goblin has left, Peter Parker pretty much rams his shoulder somewhere in the vent and says, "Ow." And the thing is that makes me wonder is that, usually when humans, when you hit your funny bone or somewhere, your elbow, your ankle, your knee, or somewhere on something, yes, we react in pain, right? But for Spider-Man, for someone who can get knocked or hit and not respond because he doesn't really feel it, how is it that, when he hits his shoulder on the metal wall, that he says, "Ow"? So that made me think a little bit. But for the most part, by saying "ow," he reveals that there's someone in the vent, and they ask, "Whoever you are, you better get out of there." So Spider-Man comes out, and he starts going Jet Li mode by taking out and fighting against all the criminal leaders. And there's even some moments where they try to shoot at him, but they end up hitting another gang member. But Spider-Man is able to leave, but he knows that he needs to stop Green Goblin. And one of the problems is because Green Goblin has threatened Peter Parker that he would reveal his identity to the masses. So that is one of the problems why Spider-Man has been after the Green Goblin. He's trying to prevent him from in the hospital. Aunt May has had another attack. It doesn't, I don't have the previous issue, so I'm not sure if it meant heart attack or she got attacked. So I'm not really sure. But she is in the hospital, and they need to do surgery, but the only way they can do surgery is they need consent paper signed, and the only one who could do that is a family member, which is Peter Parker. And Peter Parker is so busy trying to capture the Green Goblin that, he's kind of hard to find. And if he doesn't, Mary Jane decides she's going to do whatever she can to look for him, because she knows that if Peter found out that it all came down to him to do the surgery and he wasn't around, he probably would take it very difficult, and who knows what he would do to himself. So that is the main storyline, without getting into too much of the details, without spoiling the rest. But it's a very interesting issue, because I don't know how many times we've seen Aunt May in death's door and Spider-Man needing to help her, save her. It's one of the hard things about the character of Aunt May, is that she's always been portrayed as a fragile old woman that is in need of care, and that she's pretty much, without Ben, she's just, frail. I think one thing with the Spider-Man films, with the MCU Spider-Man, to have Aunt May as a younger person, that kind of removes all the constraints that Peter Parker had of having to be there for his aunt, even though the aunt played the major part, especially with the third film, and we know what happened on that one. But for the comic books, I think she's been such a instrumental character in Spider-Man's life, and Peter Parker, of Peter wanting to be there to help her. And I think also with Mary Jane Watson, the two are dating, and that it's very cool to see that side of her, wanting to get to Peter so he can help his aunt out. And I thought that was pretty cool. The other thing that was very interesting is to see Gloria Grant, I guess you could say Gloria or Gloria. She cooked she made a carrot milkshake for Peter to try. They live in the same apartment complex, so I guess you could say Peter is her test subject, and Peter definitely didn't enjoy it. But one thing that's very interesting is that you have Gloria Grant featured in this issue, and I don't know if Glory has been or anything later on in the future of Spider-Man, especially with the newer issues. I'm not sure if she has any major part in it, but I do know that she was dating Randy Robertson, the son of the former Daily Bugle editor Joe Robertson, and I just thought that was just those little small interactions was a nice touch to have in the issue. As for the crime boss, the one that has other plans, and he doesn't want, Green Goblin to interfere with it. The character is known as Silvermane, and Silvermane's rather interesting because even though he was like a mafia, well, the criminal organization is known as the Magia, and Silvio Manfredi, who is Silvermane, he was always known as this thug, and later on, I think he had a major role later on in the future as he became the new Supreme Hydra, and it's just a very interesting thing of how these characters tend to have certain repercussions or certain major roles in the future. I know Silvermane plays a big role in the issues of Cloak and Dagger, but yeah, he is featured here in this Spider-Man issue. So, but that's pretty much it. This is a very good issue. It's a very interesting issue for those of you who always look for Green Goblin storylines, especially Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. This is definitely an issue right here. Interesting thing to see the kind of tricks up Green Goblin's sleeves in order to capture Spider-Man, but for the most part, a solid issue, and I do recommend it. Okay, everyone, you all take care, and I will see you later. Bye-bye. Wink, wink.